Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 um, is amazing. It's amazing. What else can I say? Okay, but in all seriousness, this is how you spend 290 million bucks on a movie. Okay, so Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 stars Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, Rebecca Ferguson, and can't, the list goes on. I can't remember every celeb name that they had in the film, but this is how you do an action movie. Okay, so the first thing to know about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is it is part one of a larger story that they're going to try and want to get done. Um, Originally, this was meant to be like the beginning of the end for Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. That obviously didn't turn out to be quite so true with some recent comments he's made about the film, about how he could do this until he's 80. Of which, if this is what we're getting, then sign me up. Because this is a really, really awesome Mission Impossible film and a way better action film than most action films we get nowadays. Like, action films nowadays aren't as bad as they were like back when the shaky cam stuff was going around, but that they're either mid, like a lot of them are just mid films. They're all right, um, and then you have Indiana Jones and that film, which was not a great action movie. It was really, really should just have just been called Hell in the Shaw. But I'll do that in a separate review. But this is how you do an action movie. So the premise of this is the IMF are seeking out this little key to what is essentially an AI, and how the world is shifting from like the power that the AI has to the power that we have, and this key controls that whole AI thing. So it's a race against a bunch of different people. Obviously, the IMF um, has Ethan, Luther, Benji, um, and obviously they're out to get it. And Ethan wants to kill it. Apparently, wants to destroy it so that no one will have that power, which is a really good idea for his character. Um, Now, obviously, with Mission Impossible, the reason you're here is the fight scenes. You're here to see Tom Cruise do dangerous stunts and the rest of the cast do equally insane stunts. And that's where the film is at its best. And the film never hits a low. This is more suspense driven, something like Mission Impossible 1996, the first one, where there's like the Dutch angles being used, and the camera leans to his side a bit and kind of cranks up the tension from there. But once the film starts, it never stops until the end. And unlike Fast X, um, the film lands in a place where you feel as if the story has done its job, that the film has gone full circle, but yet it's still an act one and well, part one. And part two comes out next year. So it does a great job of getting you hyped, but also finishing up the first part of this whole part one, part two storyline quite well. And is there a lens they won't go to make you uh, think that Tom Cruise, can't do all this? They'll show you that he can do this in his 60s. He's doing more insane things than actors in their 20s. Like, this is the stuff actors in action movies should be doing. And yet you have 60-year-old Tom Cruise proving as to why he's one of the biggest action stars of this generation, essentially. Top Gun Maverick, everyone loved that. and everyone loves like Tom Cruise and his ability to do such insane stunts. So obviously the stunts are like big set pieces, but like it's not a non-stop action film. It's not necessarily non-stop. What it is it's more suspense driven, and by that the film is more of a suspense builder. Um, because there's action, and it's not relentless like John McForce sort of thing. It's more like action scenes happen, and they happen for a long period of time. When they do happen, you're, you know, excited in your seat. But the film is taking more of that suspense driven narrative. So like there's a few characters in here now that, they won't necessarily start fight scenes, but they'll start with some sort of action that eventually leads into an action scene. And just the film overall should like get an Oscar. Take my money now. Um, it's much better than most action films we've got out today, and especially compared to Indiana Jones. But like I said, I'll talk about that in a separate review. And the stunt that's being marketed, there's a very funny moment before that. I'm not gonna tell you or show you the clip because not everyone has seen that yet. Um, but I hope this makes back its money. So the budget for the film is quite high, 290 million. That's a lot of money, but that was to do mostly the kickbacks from the lockdown and stuff. And the film's budget kind of went up from there. But like the film looks like it's made from $290 million, uh, and the film feels like a film that would be $290 million. Another thing to point out in the cast, obviously Tom Cruise is great, but Haley Atwell is really good in the film too. She plays this kind of like pickpocket, and she's just unfortunately in this dilemma where Tom Cruise can help her, but her own gut isn't kind of like, she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't really kind of have sometimes she doesn't even have a choice. Sometimes she just has to run with it. Ironically for Tom Cruise. And then Vanessa Kirby comes back as the White Widow. She's fun. And her character gets a lot more to do. Then we have Gabriel. I can't remember the actor's name. Um, and he's a good villain. Because not only does he test the moral idea of Ethan in this whole mission, but you feel as if for the past few films he's been lurking in the shadows, waiting for just the right moment to pop out and surprise Ethan. Obviously, Ving Rhames as Luther and Simon Pegg as Benji are always fun. Benji is quite funny here as well. There was a good few laughs in my screen where I saw the film from Benji's character. And I'm trying to think, Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy is in the film. Again, I can't remember the actress's name. I'm very bad at remembering some actors' names. And her character is really interesting. But you can also like feel as if that this character could have been from the John Wick universe. That's quite fun. And Rebecca Ferguson as Ilsa is back, who has this kind of whole like, you know, like always getting herself into trouble. We've seen this with this character before. We know what's going to happen. It's like everyone brings their A game. There's no bad link in the whole thing. And the film is just a really fun action film. McQuarrie has also improved his direction a good bit. Now, not that I think that it was bad or anything in the first few go rounds. He was a really solid director. However, you could tell that he's got a better grasp on things now than he did beforehand. So, with the writing, with the twists, and with the direction, acting, the stunts, this is a solid like 9.5 out of 10 movie. The only thing holding it back is that there's one scene that kind of bugged me a bit, but like that's a small scene. And the rest of the film is just flawless after that. So I'm going to give the film 9.5 out of 10. This has been my review for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And yeah, I will be sending out reviews for Elemental, Indiana Jones, and Extraction 2 in the next day or two. I'm going to get these cranked out as fast as possible. Um, but yeah, go see Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. You will not be disappointed. And yeah, that's me over and out.